Good morning. How's everyone today? There's no one here. That's fine. I will continue as always. um, okay. So there's a few things going on, and I just wanted to go over them. Right. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to map out this correction. I didn't do it live yesterday just because it takes a little bit of time and it's quite trial and errory. But what I'm going to do is, because I've done it once, I'm going to do it again live, and obviously I just want people to see how I've done it, and then if there's any comments or ideas, then obviously throw your ideas in, and we can maybe I can adjust it or whatever, because it's quite subjective. It's very hard to do live as the price action is happening, and so obviously as more data comes in, as more candles are printed, as the price shows itself, the volume shows itself, then it becomes a lot easier to track. So I'm just gonna kind of EW wave for effectively the wave for corrective. Now I'll comment on that in a second. All right, so this is Bitcoin. I didn't have any trades going on yesterday. I knew it was going up. It looked bullish. I talked about how bullish it was in the order flow. I talked about this high volume node, how it resisted the price. You see that? It definitely resisted the price. You see how you have a really perfect reaction on this SR flip there. Okay. Had another reaction and another reaction, and then obviously now we've just gone through. Okay. So typically in this circumstance, you obviously need a back test of the high volume node. We may or may not get that. What seems to be happening is that the market makers are massively manipulating this market at the moment. You just have to bear that in mind, right? I don't think it's smart money. I think it's actual market maker manipulation. The main reason why I say that is because let me show you what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me see. Let me just move that toolbar down here. I can see quite bearish divergences in the MACD. Yeah. So you can see here you're making higher high, you're in a lower high. You can see it's quite bearish. This isn't the bearish, this is the other bearish. So this isn't hidden bearish, this is just normal bearish. Okay, so what it really means is, hold on, let me just correct myself. No, this is really bearish. Sorry, my bad. This is hidden bearish. I confuse them, but this is hidden bearish. It's hidden bearish because the MACD is pushing up and the price isn't. So you're getting quite strong sell side absorption in this move up. Yeah. And we're definitely getting bearish divergences on the 1 hour time frame at least. If you look at the different time frames, it's pretty much telling you exactly the same story. We're getting quite bearish divergences here. What's happening, and I'll tell you what's happening because it's really easy to see. No one is shorting. Not many people are shorting. Yeah, there are traders are shorting, but only at the highs. But the market isn't really shorting. They're not really shorting. And the market isn't really selling anymore because they've already sold. It's been dumped, right? And so the market isn't buying back in a impulsive way at the moment. So none of this move is impulsive, not by the market anyway. But what it is, it's impulsive by individual market makers, specifically individuals, like one or two entities are moving this market. And so what you're getting is a really tricky corrective price action where the price drops because people are like selling because it's really bearish, and then at the right place the market maker moves in and market buys the token all the way up to higher prices. The market gets bullish and they start buying, and actually the market maker starts to sell, not with market orders but with limit orders, sell into that rise. Yeah, so effectively what's happened is the market maker has held the price up here. It's a market maker. Then they push the price up, and then they're selling into the rise. Okay, so people are getting bullish, so they're buying, market buying, positioning in, and the market maker is selling into that. They're selling using limit orders, so they're not marketing the market price down. They're basically taking their profit. Then there's exhaustion, and the market pulls back, just because the market maker is absorbing the buying, and then you get exhaustion, the price drops. And so this is basically late longs. Basically anyone who's not the market maker is a late long, because they're not in the picture. They're getting stopped out, so they're getting liquidated and validated in their trades, because it's looking quite impulsive, and then you get this kind of liquidation and it pulls back. And then you get the same thing, you get the market maker limit absorbing the price as the price comes down. When the price is fully exhausted, the market maker just pushes the price up, market buy, basically rinse and repeat. Okay. Yesterday when we were looking at these highs, you were getting really bullish order flow, i.e. you were getting heavy absorption from the market maker. Yeah, and I showed that in the order flow. It's bullish, you know, you can long it, and you can be on the right side of the market, which is on the side of the market maker. It's not really on the right side of the market, it's on the side of the market maker. And I was showing everyone yesterday on the order flow exactly where I was seeing bullish, heavy bullish divergences. You can see it quite clearly. You can see that sell orders were being absorbed, and the selling was just being completely absorbed. We came back down into the single prints. I talked about the single prints yesterday, right by the VWAP and the daily open. So last night, you see the price dropped, came into the area of interest. I was asleep, so I didn't take the trade, and you get a nice kind of bounce from that. Again, it's the same idea. It's the market maker just manipulating the price. Here, as the price goes up, you get a massive short squeeze. That's because as the price was dropping, people were shorting. They're thinking this is it, this is over. And actually, it was the market maker selling in the highs and then absorbing the price at the right place at the lows, and then at the right time squeezing all the late shorts and pushing to higher prices. So what I'm seeing now is the market maker manipulating this whole range. Okay, right now we're getting quite a lot of, this is actually the market. You can see there's some market longs. These market longs are getting absorbed. Again, it's the same problem. It's not, technically it's not bearish divergence, because you just put in a higher high, but you can see in the CVD that you're getting quite significant absorption. Exactly the same thing is happening. The market maker is selling into that. This isn't people, this is the market maker, right? All of what's happening now is the market maker, whoever it is. They have a lot of funds, and they're on a mission to destroy or to manipulate this market. So it's quite a tricky kind of, it's quite tricky because there's no real invalidation. It's really hard to have an invalidation. You basically, if you're in spot, yeah, you could spot buy and keep on spot buying, and you don't really care about your invalidation because you're spot buying the dips, and that's basically the only strategy that works here. Shorting is impossible unless you scalp, and even then the reality is that the shorts are getting annihilated every single time the shorts are shorting. If they don't take profit, then they're getting squeezed, and that's effectively what's moving the price up. But the market maker is selling into this market and preventing the price from accelerating to higher numbers. Yeah, I don't think there's much selling apart from the market maker, to be honest with you, but that's because we're not in the right place to sell, right? So if the market maker wasn't involved, we might have had more of an explosive buyout, okay, and then another big dump quite quickly. So they're kind of controlling the way the price moves. It's very manipulative, but it's happening before our eyes, right? The price action is corrective, but it looks impulsive, right? And you see here, I've got the volume area of this local range right up to the high volume node from the low that was put in here at the value, just above the value area high down there. And Can you see that the point of control is in the highs there? That's bearish. Yeah, it's bearish volume. The price is above it, so technically the price is bullish because it's above the point of control and the value area high. So even though the volume profile is bearish, the price being above it is bullish as long as the point of control, and in this context right now, as long as the value area high holds the support. So we are seeing a little bit of support here. There's an SR flip with the value area, and as long as that holds, that's bullish. If you head back down and you lose the point of control, you're in a little bit of trouble here because you've lost the point of control, you've lost the value area high, you're back in the range, and you've lost this high volume node. So this is quite an important area that the price needs to hold as support for continuation. It's very possible that the market makers comes to destroy more people, comes to wreck more people. I do see higher lows, higher highs in this price action. You see higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So that continues, then this will continue going up. But obviously, as you can see, it's losing steam. You can see it's losing steam. The reason why it's losing steam is because the reason why the market maker can do what the market maker is doing in this price range, yeah, there's a reason why, yeah, and the reason why is because in this overall volume profile, let's just take it all the way back to here. You can see we've hit a dead spot in terms of volume. See, look at that dead spot. All of this is a dead spot in terms of volume, yeah, and the price becomes very illiquid. It moves quite easily, and so it's quite easy for a relatively small whale or market maker to manipulate, to maneuver the price. You don't think it's going to happen, but it's happening. Yeah, when you have high volume areas, it's a lot difficult to do that because you have the whole market buying and selling, and so naturally one market maker on their own are going to find that difficult, okay, because there's too much volume being traded at previous historic volume levels. Yeah, but when you get a situation where there is really low volume, then easily the market makers can step in and make a shit ton of money at the expense of the market. It usually always happens after you get a big sudden drop and crash, and the reason why is because the market is done, is exhausted, is out, and so now the market makers step in and they take over, and it's still corrective. There's nothing impulsive about this price action. It looks quite impulsive, but it's the impulse is actually just one or two or whatever entities market buying after they've taken all of their profit from all of their sales, and then they push the price up. They do another squeeze, and then they start selling again. So they're just taking it up in stages, and so it looks bullish, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is because I think eventually what happens is the price wants to go back down. Eventually it wants to, and you've got no liquidity to support the price. And so wherever we get to, if you start losing levels, then the price is going to drop very quickly. Yeah, there's just going to be no interest in buying anymore once this ends. And naturally, anyone who is in profit, they're probably still holding on to the profits. The savvy operator will trail their stops on these pivots, market stops on these pivots. Yeah, so naturally, in my mind, I think probably this is the lowest pivot right now underneath the point of control. You don't really want the price to go down back underneath the point of control. If you do, then it could be manipulation, but also it could be massive signs of weakness. And I think it's, look at this, the swing failure of the lows here. That would probably be in this red wick is probably going to be a best place to put some kind of market stop, just in case we do get some kind of drop, which is very possible. It's very possible, and you have to protect yourself from that if you're in longs. Yeah, you can still ride the waves, but just definitely be careful about the drop, because when it does drop, it's going to drop quite fast. In the context of dropping, I think it's very important to not try and catch it, right, at any level. CC, whatever, golden pocket, value area low, whatever, they're all quite arbitrary levels which don't truly reflect what's happening, in my opinion. And I think honestly, you really want it. If the price does drop, you're looking to catch the price right down here at the bottom of this exposed red wick. Really, this is your area to buy. If the price just drop and you're looking to buy, that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for the price to come all the way back down here for another test of the lows. Okay, what you end up with is a higher time frame corrective pattern. I don't know how it's going to form, but that's kind of where you want to buy. That's your next entry for buying, and there's no way that anyone could or should buy here. You could scalp. It's always you can always scalp, yeah. But you know, when you're talking about a little bit more of a higher time frame trade or a swing trade, yeah, then it's all you have to be careful. Now, for people who are looking for the final buy, the big dip, the final dip, is this it? It could be, but I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. Just simply because of the way the price has dropped so rapidly. Yeah, I've talked about this before. I don't believe in V-shaped recoveries. I think the V-shaped recoveries are very manipulated and manipulative. Sometimes they're true. Sometimes the market is truly aggressively buying the dip. Most of the time it's just market makers manipulating the price. That's why I don't like them. It's not a true reflection of the market. If it was, for example, like here you have the V-shaped recovery. If it was, you know, then you wouldn't really get this kind of, you know, it's not a true it's not the market. This is just it's all what I'm seeing now is quite a lot of manipulation in where the price is moving. You have to be aware of that. Doesn't mean you can't capitalize on that. It just means that at the moment, anyone who's been longing or shorting in this shorting, of course, it's been easier just because you have a really nice lower high pattern forming, and so none of these validations have been tapped throughout the whole of these last 2 or 3 or 4 months. Yeah, it's amazing. You could have literally anyone could have shorted anywhere randomly, just stuck their invalidation at the all-time high, and they'd probably still be in money now. You didn't even need to think about it. Whereas the longs have been completely ravaged, you know, ravaged. Longs are getting destroyed. Yeah. In that sense, it's looking quite flaggy. Huh? It's looking quite flaggy still. Okay. A weird shaped flag. Lower, you know, it's like a widening channel. It's not a megaphone, because a megaphone, in this context, a megaphone you'd be having, it'd be like that, wouldn't it? So it's definitely not a megaphone. It's just basically it's a overly manipulated channel. Nothing's changed as far as what needs to happen when it comes to the higher time frame. You've got a lower low, you've got a lower high, you've got a lower low, you've got a very wide range, and technically for this to become bullish, it's not bullish. You need to go up and take that high, put in a higher low, and then you need to take out the new high. Okay, that becomes bullish. If you see a market structure change, I think probably the whole market will just long. Yeah, because that just tells you there's a massive change in behavior. Taking out the high, higher low, taking out the current high, that's a big change in what's happening here. So naturally after that happens, you probably get a massive rally, and that's kind of what people are looking for, confirmation for longing or extra longing or longing more. At the moment it's quite unsteady and it's quite uncertain. Obviously the price isn't going to go down in a straight line, so naturally the price has come down, it's captured liquidity, it's having a little bounce. The bounce, I think, is highly manipulated. Okay, I can see, I mean, it's hard to gauge, but the volume has been steadily, it looks like it's steadily dropping as well. And you've got these gaps that were formed as the price just collapsed, and in my mind the price is trying to get up to there. and maybe if it wants to go a little bit further, it's trying to kind of get up to here, somewhere here. It's trying to get up to about 60k. I think the price is trying to get up to 60k, right? That makes perfect sense. And the other thing I think the price is trying to do at the moment is it's trying to get back to test the value area low of the overall range. So that's the overall volume range. Where's my higher time frame range? There you go. So it's quite high up, and so I'm going to redraw it now, just so people can see where the volume is. I'll do it from this low pivot here, kind of corresponds to there. How low do we go? Yeah, you see that we've had a little bit of a shift in the value area low just on this new data that's come down to this pivot. That helps us actually, because it means we can hit resistance slightly lower. We don't have to wait so much. Nothing's changed at the highs, right? You see that the value area low is about 60k 785. Okay, that's the value area low of this new range, which is all the way down to this pivot now. So I'm capturing all the data all the way from here to there, and that's your new level, value area low. So I think the price is trying to get there. I do wonder if we do get one kind of final push up, not in this kind of corrective manner, like a final, and that would be what you short when you get that. Yeah, so none of this is, you can't really short any of this because you're making higher highs and higher lows. It's very difficult to short. You scalp, that's fine, but the reality is that the shorts are getting destroyed, getting punished, and the longs, unless you long late, the longs are fine. What I'll be thinking to myself is maybe we can get a kind of a nice expansive move into resistance and then a rejection. That's what I'm thinking, possibly. It doesn't have to be the value area low, so that's the other thing, right? I could be wrong, you know, everything is subjective. So while I think this is corrective and manipulative, this could be the bottom. It obviously could be the bottom. You know, this could be everything is possible in crypto. We have recaptured or reclaimed the range low. There's a really tiny red candle for our back test there. I don't really like it. I would prefer to see a real back test, like on a dip, a back test on a dip, to make sure that that holds. Whatever happens, I'd like to see something like that. That will give me confidence that the price is back in the range, because you have massive amounts of selling and you see the price is struggling to get past this level, which needs to flip into support. So until I see something like that, I'm not going to feel safe with this being an SR flip at the lows, and all I'm seeing is some kind of bounce, which it just keeps on making higher lows and higher highs. I can't see a V-shaped recovery here. I don't see how that's possible, really. I can already see that the momentum is waning here, and the reality is, in this context, if you want a V, you need to go all the way back up there, don't you? That would be a V. You can't long the tops of a V. You can't preempt a V. You can't, you know, you'd have to long and hope you don't get stopped out. Where's your invalidation? And then even then, whatever happens with a V, the real trade with a V would be 50% on a corrective move to go back up. Like, that would be possible. That would work. You know, go all the way up to the value area high, whatever, take out the highs, come all the way back down to the value area low, so you're back in the range. Yeah, and then that's kind of where you'd be looking to pick up, and that this would be your bottom then, in effect. Okay, I think it's highly unlikely that we form the other kind of a V, just because if we were to go up, that would be your entry there. I don't know. I mean, it is possible. Everything's possible, you know. So I don't want to discount it and say I just don't think it's going to happen. But I know it's possible. Yeah. And naturally, because I don't think it's going to happen, I'm not trying to trade for it. And if it happens, I'll just have to adjust and adapt and reevaluate. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Yeah, So you kind of going with probabilities. I think I don't know. I mean, I see bearish divergences. I don't know. I don't think so. Price is now slowly getting into oversold territory. You're coming into resistance levels now. You know, you're coming into order blocks. You see, we're coming into this green. This is like the first kind of real rejection we've had. It's this 4-hour daily, this 4-hour green candle with this green wick. You see that? It was getting a real struggle here to get back in. So before we didn't have that problem because you just had these red drop candles. And now we're starting to get into actual order blocks, volume levels, previous volume levels, trap liquidity, people trying to exit, people who have longed and are taking profit. So we're starting to get into those areas, and that's why I think it's important to just be aware and be careful. So what I've actually done is I've created a corrective count, right? And the theory is that we've completed the wave 3, and this was the last wave. This last impulsive move was the last wave. I counted 5 waves in this last corrective move, and I did that with everyone. You see, hold on. Let me just have a look at this one more time. Yeah, so that was, so let me just adjust this now so it's correct. Hold on. Higher, low, 4, 5. Okay. So what actually happened here? One, two, three, four. Right. Let me just adjust this so it's correct, okay? Because I can see it's not 100% correct. Something like that to complete your 5 wave there. And technically, because we've taken out this initiation, this 0 point, and then that was it. That was the end. Yeah, so there's no more waves. There's no more Elliott waves after this, unless there's a brand new one and this is invalidated, but that's unlikely in this context. Okay. I'm gonna be back in 2 minutes. I just need to use the restroom. Just hold on. Just hold on. Back. All right. So that count took out the lows. That's fine. That's when you had a real big sell, because that invalidates this whole thing. Put in a lower low, and now we have a little bounce. All right. So I'm basically suggesting that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the last wave. I knew that that wave had completed. Yeah, that last one. Because we talked about it. We talked about the V-shaped recovery. Then we had the final kind of impulse, which was this. You had your first kind of bounce, but that was the real bounce from a significant low for the V-shape recovery. That's really bullish, you know, V-shaped recovery, and then you lose it, it becomes really bearish. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, why would a V-shaped recovery fail? It suddenly becomes bearish. So I'm suggesting potentially that that count is over. So when I bring my higher time frame AW count, you can kind of, without taking rid of these drawings, and kind of my mind is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that was it. Okay. The reason that was it is because we've gone into a low. The reason why I think that was the last wave is because it was very impulsive. Yeah. So I'm just going based on that theory that I'm looking for impulse, and the whole of this was quite, you see, this is the market impulsing up, impulse. It was all very impulsive. It wasn't just one or two entities. You can see the market was aggressively buying, and that also is reflecting in the altcoins as well. So so let's just, in my mind, I'm thinking this is the end here. That's the end of 3, which is the end of 5, which is lots of 5s ending and lots of 3, that big 3 ending. Then we go into a sharp corrective move. Now this is very difficult. When you begin mapping out corrective moves, it's very difficult to, and so as time passes, as we get more data, it does become easier. So it is quite difficult. It's always subjective. It's not 100. It's never always 100%. So you know, you could tweak it, but effectively what I'm looking for are ABCs, and I'm going from high to lows. Effectively, that's really what I'm doing. It's quite simple. High to low A, low to high B, high to low C. I'm also kind of observing the internal ABCs, internal waves, making sure that we do get some kind of internal ABC without actually marking it. I am keeping an eye on that too, and that's really all I'm doing. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, and not really getting too complicated about it. Using different time frames can alter the way it's done, sure, and so I might have to adjust it if I see that there are it's not correct. And then you can check as well. So here is the peak, here is the high, 69 70k. I did say 69,500 was a massive resistance zone. So I've already said that. We already knew it was going to be kind of, this is the area of interest, and naturally it happened. Naturally it came to pass. Okay, as soon as you lost this pivot and these lows, dump, and it didn't look back. Okay, that's really what happened. So someone was very keenly looking at the price action at that time, and as soon as they got the confirmation that the price had now finally experienced weakness, they didn't even hesitate. They just market sold their bags, and they were done with Bitcoin. And that began this kind of strong down move. Initially, we started off trying to form some kind of rounding bottom, and then that was completely invalidated, and then the neckline held for continuation. That's really what was happening. A lot harder to see as it happens, because obviously people are still bullish, but effectively it had changed, and the change started to play into the price action. People started to close their longs at market. So again, I'm counting the waves ABC, 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 and then I'm combining them to form WXYs. And so here you've got top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom. That's ABC, that's your W. Then another ABC top, up to top, down to the bottom here. And another ABC up to the top there. That's another WX. Yeah, so the X goes from this C to C. Okay, and then you've got this kind of big dump. So you're going down another ABC. This is like, well, I don't know what this is, but this is like some kind of crazy mess. Basically here, it's basically that. So it's tricky. It's tricky. So how do you do this? You could do that as well, I guess, if you wanted. I kind of prefer it to the dump and then the last C, right? Which will take that C from there down to there. Okay. To finalize your end at the C here, and then you start going to a different corrective mode because you've ended your WXY and now you're in a different corrective wave. And so what I've done is I've drawn out the red W here, the red line W, that's from the beginning to the end here. And now we're in the corrective middle part, which is the WX. This is the X. And then I am expecting the continuation, which will be the Y. I am expecting that. I'm not thinking this is just going to go up. Okay. If whatever changes in the future, I'm going to have to relook at this and change it. It's just a fact. Okay. But at the moment, this is where I'm at. And so far, it hasn't been too bad. And I'll just show you why I like some aspects of this. Let me just get rid of these extensions, etc. And just for the sake of, and I haven't actually gone through this correction either, so let me just go through it quickly. Again, starting here, so what's interesting is when you finish a C and a W at the same place, and when it all kind of comes to an end, yeah, you get quite an impulsive move, even though it's not impulsive. It can feel impulsive, and so we get that kind of price action here. You see, it feels quite impulsive. Effectively, what's happening is that this first leg of this correction is over. Okay, once it's over, the bears start buying, and obviously the bulls are always buying, and so you get this kind of confluence of buying at the right time at the right place, and that causes a little bit of a kind of impulsive type move, but it's not really impulsive. It's just a reaction from the circumstances, which is the end of a corrective move coming to completion at that same point where the bears and bulls are no longer in sell mode, they're in buy mode. That's really why you get that kind of experience. So I've always said this, it's always good to buy the C's. The C's are naturally the best places to buy and sell the C's. Yeah. And sometimes at every third wave, you'll get this kind of C explosion, whether it's up or down, it doesn't matter. You just get that kind of price action, right? So it doesn't have to be, you don't always have to be looking for impulsive price action. You can also be looking for corrective C's. Okay. I think they are really good if you can spot them. So here, look, so I've got this WXY, it's in purple, as you can see. And so what I'm going to do is some sort of trend base fib from to the C here, to the top pivot here. I'm just going to line that up. Okay. And you see it's already extended beyond the 1. Usually, I think the 618 is a good place. The 1 is a good place. You see, here at the 1, we did get the price. Do you see that? The price did hold for a bit, but it overextended it. There was no respect, but it did hold the price for a bit. So there was a little bit of respect because that was a good place for the price to come to an end as the 1-to-1. But what happened was the price came down so fast that that fib level wasn't going to hold the price. Okay, if you would have seen a more kind of the right kind of corrective move, when I say right, there's no real right. Kind of like following the same track, the same trajectory like that, then we probably would have come and settled at the 1-to-1 probably now actually at 54k. That makes more sense, you see, because you're technically you're looking at some kind of ABCD pattern and they're quite symmetrical. Okay, but that didn't happen. Didn't happen because the price dumped. The price, you suddenly got some liquidations, you suddenly got some big market selling, and there was no way the price was going to able to follow that trajectory. And even though the 1-to-1 did hold for a good period of 1 hour, maybe 2, the price actually fell lower. And so if I don't have it on my trend base, but if I add some kind of extended targets here, kind of zoom in a little bit, let's have a look. Not crazy respecter, but it kind of came to the 1.618. Have I got this all corrected? Yeah, looks like 1.618. Pretty extended sell-off. We haven't seen that in a while. Let me just on this time chart, chucking these two as well. Yeah, look, see this 1.272. You see how in the first instance the price came to it. The 414, it's actually looking like a little bit of an SR flip here. And then the 618, the price just really exhausted at those levels. It tried to push under and there was no back test either. It just kind of couldn't get further. It was quite overextended. You know, overextended could also go to the 2 if it's really overextended, but I think this is quite overextended. It's not what you normally expect, the 1.618, but as you can see, the 1.272 tried to hold the price. It tried to be the extent, and then obviously it couldn't, and then it just went further down to underneath the 1.618. Okay, that's really and the reason why is because the price just came down too fast. That's really the only reason why. We just had a big sell-off at the same time, which had an impact on the way the price found support, right? So you come down here and you're doing some kind of and the reason why I'm going from this C down to here, I actually think this is one move, yeah. You could argue maybe this is an ABC there. I mean, you could argue this is slightly differently. I just see this whole thing is just one move all the way down there. I can't really see. It's not really low. I don't know. It's quite tricky because elsewhere I'll do it slightly different. That would have changed. That would change if I start doing this A, B, C. Then here what? Doesn't really work. So, and also, okay. It's kind of like this. I just want to show you. You kind of have a little ABC here. And you kind of have some sort of weird ABC here. It's kind of how it played out. that does actually work because they're quite symmetrical in the way the waves are on both sides, right? It's quite hard to do. It's quite hard to see. That effectively makes sense to me because that's kind of where the correction, this drop ended, isn't it? You had the first drop, and then this is really, that's where it ended. That's where you had a shift. And so naturally in my mind, I'm just thinking this whole thing is one wave, one big W, all the way from that where it began to here. That kind of corresponds because you're coming down to the 1.618 on this WXY. And now that completes this first red W, this first big red W. That helps, isn't it? It helps because now I can start mapping this new correction. And the thesis is that this new correction is a red X, isn't it? It's a red X. And that should be... And so, again, you're just counting. That's all I'm doing, counting waves. Start here. Looks impulsive. Could be impulsive, but really isn't. And again, you're just counting. So A, B, again, in the mid, I am counting in between. I'm just trying to check to make sure there is some kind of ABC within the A. Again, with this is quite difficult to see. It's almost like this, like, isn't it? It's like that. Then you have like an ABC there. That's your B. You have another one here, ABC there, and that's your C. So you have an ABC. That completes your purple W. And then you have like a corrective A here. It's kind of like that, isn't it? You see that? Then you have a corrective B, like there. Then you have the corrective C, and so as you can see the patterns are forming. You're forming like this, isn't it? Look, see, that's your ABC. It's like a sideways correction. That completes your X. So you have your W, you have your X, which goes sideways, and now I'm looking for the last one, which is the Y, this purple Y. This purple Y completes the red X, okay, which completes the red C, and that becomes a sell. Right, now this is tricky, yeah, because maybe it's to there, maybe we haven't finished it yet. 1, 2, 3, maybe it's to there. 1, 2, 3, maybe it's to there, and maybe this is going to be somewhere here. Okay, now last night I was thinking 60k. I'm actually now looking at this and thinking we might not get there. Okay, I was thinking value area low. That at the moment is at 67,785. It would require a little bit of a bullish kind of last ditch, find the final wave, impulsive last, kind of the last push. But I don't know if the last push in this context is going to take us all the way up there. That would look quite bullish there if we just kind of went up there for a dump. But I mean, in my mind, that's one way it could happen. You get the last kind of explosive push because people are just bullish, and this is the dip. They're like, buy the dip. So someone comes along and goes, oh my god, we keep on going up, I'm just going to buy, fat finger buy. They overdo it. You have a little squeeze, you have a big market buy, and then that actually completes the corrective move. And so it's a lot harder to buy and sell these kind of corrective moves, especially selling, but it's really easy to sell when you get an expansive move, because naturally when you get expansive moves, the first thing that people do is take profit, because all of a sudden the price has moved very quickly in a short space of time. All of a sudden people find themselves in large profits. First thing people do with an expansive move is take profit, and they're the best ways to take profit. Wait for the expansive move, wait for the candle to close, whatever candle time frame you're using, take profit. Okay, most people would do that, so it's good practice. So I do think we're in a little bit of a last kind of little bit of an ABC here, assuming that I'm right, and that's a big assumption. if I do a trend based fib here, I really have this going up to 60k. Honestly, it's crazier, but I really do have this going up to the 618 here. Fill all of these gaps, come into this value area low, potentially if it kind of overshoots a little bit or not, doesn't really matter if they're quite close together. That would be the 618. That would be an acceptable corrective move. If this becomes really bearish, we will struggle. And maybe we struggle, okay, because maybe the price can't get up there and it just struggles at this little kind of mini range here. It's always possible for the price to struggle when you have a little bit of a something like that. Actually, that's not that much, to be honest with you. So let me just take it from up here to here. Oh, it's extend right. You can see the point of controls at the value area low. You know that's a really good place to sell, the value area low. But you know, if you can't, if the price struggles to get into the value area, this kind of local value area, you might end up kind of just struggling. If we do struggle here, no one's going to be able to pick the absolute top of this correction. But naturally, if the price does manage to get to the 618, that's really the right place to sell. 618 through to the value area low of the overall range, and you've got this little kind of point of control and value area high of this mini range here. So you've got quite a lot of confluence to sell at that level based on the ratios of this whole range. See that you've got right now we haven't even come into the 50% mark. So that's kind of why I said, you know, we may struggle here. So just be aware of that, which would work, which would make sense, because it would just be not trying to get back in, not being able to get back in to this little range here, whatever that was, the value area low, kind of fake out above the 50%, and then that was it. That's it. So a little bit of a front run of the 618, not being able to get back into the value area here, and actually you're just getting a first reaction from this 50% mark at 58,547, which is a fib retracement. It's a 50% retracement from this peak high to this pivot low, right? So naturally, I think that would be a good place for the price to stop. Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's going to go to the value area low. I don't see why it would. Okay, because we're kind of coming to the end of this correction as far as count is concerned. So the next push up probably is it, in my humble opinion. And I want to see a reaction off an important level like this 50 fib, like that area, and then I'll be looking for a reversal on the lower time frame for shorting, or just for a sign of weakness. You could quite easily wait for the next corrective move to begin, and if I'm right, you know, it'll be quite an explosive down sell, and then you could just wait for the B, the pullback, because you'll probably be looking to change market structure at the same time if and when that happens. You see, right now we're still putting in higher lows. Okay, this low has to hold up, otherwise we're already there. Put in another higher low. The minute you take out that higher low, then it's the pullback, then it's the B, sell the B. Yeah, you have a change of market structure. Something like that kind of looks like a slightly higher time frame head and shoulders pattern, and that's just something to observe. And then, so in terms of timing, so people are always interested, what is the timing here? I would love for this to go higher with like a little kind of explosive push up before we dump, but I don't know, because we haven't even reached the 50% mark. So I think potentially maybe 50% would be it. People are aiming for 60k and they don't get there. They're aiming for the value area low. That's usually what market makers do. They front run everyone, or they push everyone to the limits, beyond the limits. That's what market makers do. So in this context, people are buying because they're expecting 60, they're targeting 60, they're thinking, well, I can buy now. It's only 60 is another 2.5k up, whatever, 2k up. Still good money. But actually what happens is the market makers reverse the price at 58,643. Yeah. And so a lot of late longs get trapped. That's the fuel for the fire to go down. You know, late longs getting trapped and then being liquidated as the price drops. Why have I, you know, like so again, it's quite speculative, isn't it? This is all quite speculative. It's quite interesting because yesterday I sent something to David. I didn't post it on Twitter. Usually I do. And I didn't post it on Twitter. I think part of the reason why I didn't post it on Twitter because I wasn't 100% sure. Basically that's why I posted to David yesterday. So I was kind of looking for, I was looking for, where is that high volume nodes? Back up. I've got it there. Must be overall. Bull market VAH. Look, we're coming to some kind of key resistance. There's your high volume node, right? Bull market resistance. You can come to some volume resistance here. So here you see you've got this high volume node. I posted this to David yesterday. And look, you see we're kind of trying to do it. Trying to do it. B, C, A, B, and we're looking for the last kind of final push. See, what else did I show him yesterday? Okay, so there's something else interesting I'm going to show you as well, and then let me know what you think about that. So I've got this GAN fan which I posted yesterday. With the GAN fan, I've taken it from the top pivot to this pivot low that we put in, and I do like it. I like it for different reasons. It's not obvious why I like it. Let me just put these into their own groups so I can hide them now quickly. You see here when we kind of breached it, we were talking about this GAN fan yesterday. You see how the price reacted, broke, and look at that. Nice back test. They're not. So they are quite nice. If you see that the price is flipping them, this is kind of how it does it. In the past, the price was failed to get above, and then it back tested as resistance. And here you see you lost it, you back tested it support, but then you failed and you back tested it as resistance. So they do kind of, in some weird and wonderful way, they do kind of guide the price. You see here the 3-1. See that? There's a nice, look at that, look how the GAN resists the price. Little failed auction above that GAN 3-1, and then you have a little kind of back test on the 15-minute chart. It's quite interesting GAN fan for me. I think the reason why I was thinking value area, let me put that back in now. Value area low. I think it's a bit too high now, actually, just kind of contemplate. So in this context, and this is interesting because we have to see what happens because time is important too. You see how the 50% and this 3-1 GAN, there's a bit of confluence here at 2:45. That's UK time. There's still confluence, but it's the best one is at that time. So time is important here. If we do get there at the right time. And then obviously if I bring back my wave for correction, right? Is that it? EW wave for correction, right? I am expecting a little kind of ABC. I don't think this is the top, but we're losing the high volume node now, so it'd be very poor if this was it, huh? It'd be very weak if that was it, if that kind of ended there. I think it's quite weird if we don't hit that 50% after we've come back above the 382 as well. So let's see where we actually finally come to an end, to a rejection. I think we'll know that the confirmation will be this whole volume profile. Let's take it from this high volume nodes to current price action. You see that? We're coming back into the point of control. I think if we lose the point of control here, then maybe this is it. And maybe actually this is somehow this correction is over here. And then maybe the last ABC was a really poor, weak ABC. And it's there. Okay, so just keep an eye on this. This could make sense too, you know, like, do you see how the corrective waves are getting smaller and smaller and smaller? Usually what happens is you do get one final SFP push and then dump. And so that's what I'm thinking of at the moment. And one final push and then dump. Marve's here. He's saying 60k. Let's go. I'm not sure, my friend. I'm really not sure about 60k. That being said, 60k would definitely be the best place to short, because that would be my 618 on this trend base purple WXY that I have. This last... Oh yeah, you're making good early buys, American stuff. So you have a point. So Marve's saying Americans don't buy tops. That's true. So it is possible that this is the final corrective stage, and then we're going to get the last kind of... It'll feel impulsive, and then you go straight up to your area of interest. So Marve, the 618 that I have here is 60k 101. So if you're looking for that, that would take us above this GAN 3-1, and then you just want to see a rejection, lose the GAN 3-1, and we want to start heading down. And I want it to be quite violent. I want it to be quite aggressive. So that is my target. Not to say it's not. That really is my target, but I just don't know, because we haven't hit the 50% mark yet. Here. And then the other thing, like, just let me just have a look at this. If I take it from this low to this A, B, C, you see on this, it would be quite overextended, and actually you could fall short at 59,508. You know, I'm just saying that there are ways the price can fall short from 60k, and it would indicate bearishness and bullishness. If we can't get to 60k, then it's just really bearish, isn't it? So the target for me in this 618 is 60k, 6101. That would be correct. That would be normal price action on this corrective move. It wouldn't be as bullish as the 1-to-1. So if you had a corrective move here that took us from here, all the way up to 63k, that would be quite a bullish corrective move to the upside. And it just helps because it means then your lower targets aren't so low. But if it's bearish, or if it's starting to get really bearish at the highs here, and people are just not really willing to buy and are just looking to dump or sell, then actually you might get the 618, you might get lower than the 618. We just have to bear that in mind. Yeah, 618 is an arbitrary fib extension level based on this trend, but reality is the big resistance is going to be at 60k. Massive resistance. You have the point of control of this local range here, you have the value area low of the overall range here, and you have the golden pocket. By then the price would have been really exhausted to the upside, and also you've got these kind of these GAN lines which will react. So obviously in this context, probably here is the best place, probably the value area low and the edge of the golden pocket, which kind of corresponds with this volume, a little bit of volume there. Probably that is your for best bet. But like I said, corrective moves 618, that's it. You know, you might get, it might end at 60k. And so again, people are looking for higher, but they might not come. And so naturally, when it doesn't go higher, people are looking for higher and they're looking to sell. As soon as the price starts dumping, they end up selling lower. That's what happens. And so that just adds fuel to the fire. And so naturally, as you start hitting your targets, it's a very good idea to start skimming profit, not waiting for your actual target. Because if it doesn't hit, then what do you do? Yeah, if it doesn't hit, then you end up selling lower than you should have. And all you had to do is just kind of start skimming at the right area. As it starts approaching your target, you can start skimming. And then if it hits your target, that's when you take profit. And so that's probably the best strategy to make sure that it doesn't front run the level and then it drops and then you're out of taking your profit. So, all right, so let me so I'm basically imagining a red W here, somewhere up to the 618. If it goes to the 618, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'd be very okay with that because it's a fib ratio and I love fib. And then in my imagination, that's the red X complete, and then we're looking for the red Y. And so again, it comes down to how the price moves. If you're looking for some kind of trend base price action all the way, if it ends at the 618, then the back down to the 618 would be just back down to the lows. That's why we like the 618, because it's a really good ratio. And could it come back down to the lows without losing this 2-1 like that? So it kind of keeps the same angle, but it's just coming back down to the lows to test the lows once more. I think that's very possible, but I don't think that's it. I think we're probably heading to the 1-to-1. If we end up going up to 60k and that's the red X complete on this corrective move, then I think we're probably heading down to the 1-to-1. Okay, now based on time, and so really it matters on how we end the X here and the time period that we end the X. Why have I come up with that time there? Well, I've only come up with that time there based on this purple WXY. That's the only reason I imagined that time. So I just did it from there to there to there. You see that? And according to this, the 1-to-1 here is about 1 p.m. We're already there now, aren't we? 1 p.m. So we're already at the 1-to-1 of this purple WXY. So we're in the range, we're in the zone for on a time-based 1-to-1 for this correction to be over. Right. If I do it from here to here, just do a normal kind of 618 would put us slightly later. Just from that pivot to that pivot, 618 would put us at about 3:30 p.m. today UK time, just after an hour after New York Open, which kind of makes more sense. But just take it from there to there. Let me try it again. In this context, yeah, see, it's kind of coming in between the 1-to-1 and 1.618. But maybe it'd be better to just for it to be the 618 just based on that move there at about 3 p.m. So it's either now or it's 3 p.m. I think. And because I'm looking for an ABC and because we're actually just coming back onto maybe it's at 3 p.m. Maybe we have one more push up because I'm not seeing the last kind of wave, the last kind of push. I don't necessarily think it's going to go that high, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think we haven't even tested this 50% line. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, would it go higher? I don't know. Even if that would be correct. And so again, speculatively, what you can do is you can speculatively pretend that the trend-based fib ends there. That changes the targets to the downside. That means the 618 to the downside is now 47k, and then the 1-to-1 brings us down to 41k. So wherever we end the correction here matters on our targets based on the trend. Okay, so we have to see, is everything now is quite speculative. I'm assuming we could probably go up to 618, but I'm also thinking to myself, that maybe this 50% fib is going to resist the price, because it's quite a big level. It's the midpoint of the range, isn't it, of the overall horizontal, of this down move horizontal range, 50. So I'd like to see kind of roughly based on this time wise, roughly about 3 p.m, maybe a bit earlier, to see how the price resists in higher numbers. And then obviously I want to see a rejection. I think that's really important. So I want to see a rejection. I want to see market structure change on a local time frame, and then I'll be looking for the A to complete. Probably that's your sign of weakness, and then that's the change, because now you're putting in lower lows. You're not putting in higher lows. You've changed it to lower lows. That could be quite an aggressive sell-off. And then the bounce, I'll be looking to short the bounce for continuation. That's kind of what I'm imagining. And again, I'm following this red pattern. It's the same idea. It's an ABCD. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, we do end at about 3 p.m. today. And so based on fib time from where we began to this pivot here to where it could end, the 618 on this red Y would put us on Sunday the 11th of August. But if we go a little bit further to the 1-to-1 here, which I like better, the 1-to-1, that's basically the 14th of August, thereabouts. Okay, could we get to the 14th of August? If we stay above this 2-1 Gann fan, we're basically coming to about 47, just taking out these lows, putting another lower low for another corrective move. I don't necessarily think we're going to impulse out of this again. Yeah, it's a red WXY, and it's always possible to kind of take out the lows here, put in a kind of very similar, another WXY for continuation of this corrective move, for continuate, something like that. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm into. Lower numbers. I don't know. I think something like this is possibly on the table to correct. Okay, I don't know. I'm just kind of making this. It's quite speculative. You can't really predict the future, but you can present ideas of how the future could play out and see if the price action matches your ideas. And if it does, it just gives you confidence to buy and sell at the correct places. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't really matter. So based on these timings, I'll have to fine tune it as and when it happens, after it happens. But roughly, I'm thinking a 1-to-1 in this down move will bring us to about 14th of August. If we do end at the 58k now, then the 618 will bring us to about 47. If we end higher, then we correct higher. Okay, and naturally, that means the 1-to-1 here will be down all the way down to 41. I think 43, 41, those kind of that range. And if you do have an aggressive sell-off, it doesn't. I think you notice by now it doesn't happen at once. It can kind of slowly bleed into a sell-off. Okay, and so I don't see why we don't have the same. People are still bullish, and that's why you get a bleed. So you could end up with a bleed. How would it go? And sell-off, kind of like the same thing. So you kind of had a not such a steep bleed. It could be a very gentle corrective bleed. It's really gently corrective. Same way we went up. I think we actually initially will go down quite fast, and then as we get to these lower parts, we could slowly kind of flatten the correction a little bit, and it could be quite gently corrective, and then right down again. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm seeing if it happens. And then you've got to always bear in mind that price, and that's why you have to count the waves, because you could end at the 618, and if you do end at the 618 on some kind of fib time, it might not be the end of the correction, but it could actually react quite nicely for a bounce, and so the correction could still continue, but you could end up kind of with a nice mini corrective bounce, and otherwise I'll have to see when that pivot's put in. But then based on this idea, I will be thinking lower. If this doesn't play out, then it just means something else is actually happening, and we just have to see what's happening and try and reevaluate. Okay, so this is not 100%. Nothing is. It's just quite a speculative price prediction based on Elliott waves, based on the theory that I've instilled that wave 3 is complete. We've taken out this low of this last wave, the wave 5 of 3. So I don't think there's any more impulsive waves. And now we're just forming some kind of higher time frame corrective move. And so that kind of brings me to something else. And I just wanted to show you and just kind of, it's always good to look at what other people are doing and saying. Yeah, I don't trust anyone. I only trust the charts. Yesterday I was chatting to David again, as always, as we always do, and he's not here right now, but I told him if I have a setup, I'll send it to him, so I will. And basically this person on you've probably seen her before, or him or her, who knows, could be a him or her. Blockchain BB. It's got a picture of a woman. Who knows? No one really knows. Oh, she's on YouTube, but she hasn't got a YouTube link. So if I could get her YouTube link, I could actually see what she's like. Linktree, where's the Linktree? So look. Oh, she is a woman. Who knew? Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see what
trade with. You can eliminate.
I just wanted to give you an update on Bitcoin and impulsive move. When does it get invalidated? When do you have to freak out if you have to? Take these 3 EMAs, okay? This order book. I can to this area with a market structure shift. All the of this level again, right?
So can't tell. She obviously knows some things. She's got quite a good predictive mind. She's analyzing it very kind of analytically predictive. She's trying to imagine price action. She uses her method. I don't know it. It's like based on moving averages, EMAs, and kind of she's probably trading the momentum, and she's catching the momentum shifts. So obviously I'm not critical of any of this. Look, she's here. I can see she's drawing out a diamond pattern here. That's what she's drawing out for an explosive move to the upside. I can't tell if this is right or wrong. It doesn't really matter, because it's as with what I do, it's all quite speculative, and so it's nice to see what people are thinking. I like to, you know, she's obviously smart. Anyone who can do this shit on YouTube is not stupid. Yeah, they're not only are they know some things, they're also quite confident, and that's what I want to see. I want to see confidence. Yeah, even if they're wrong, I want to see that they're confident in their analysis and they're willing to trade it. Okay, so I do like her, even though I would never trade, I would never analyze like this, but I mean, I might, you never know. And so actually I just like to see what she wrote. She's got quite a lot of followers, so she's been around a while. I don't know if she's successful. It doesn't really matter. It's just like looking at other people's ideas and seeing what they should say. Why should you follow me? 1 out of 10. Let's see. Here are the lists of calls I made on X, formerly Twitter and Discord, in November 2023. Called a pump from 34k before they announced the ETF. September 23 mentioned that the retracement and announced second buy. In December 2022, called the bottom of BTC and played every range from 18k to 30k. So she obviously thinks she knows some things. And what else she did? Called the dump. So she's got a little bit of a track record. She's selling herself quite well. And she's obviously trying to really prove to the world that she knows what she's talking about. And so all hats off to her, credit to her if she's done that. Well done. So I think it's quite interesting what she has to say. I'm quite interested to see what. So this is quite an interesting post. She posted it yesterday. Every time BTCD hits one of these red boxes, they reject and alts pump. Next week, when it hits 60%, some alts, especially ETH-based tokens, can rally hard very unexpectedly. We have token unlocks planned for September in order to dump it. Market makers need exec liquidity. So They give false hope by pumping a few alts so high that you think the dump is over. When you buy, they dump even lower. The real huge alt season begins when BTCD hits 75% and rejects. Okay, by the time BTC reaches 40 to 44k, BTCD hits 75k percent, and then we'll see a fully fledged alt season. So she's obviously got this kind of idea mapped in her mind. Why not? Like let's just you know, this is possible, very possible what she's suggesting. I have also been talking about alt season happening when BTCD hits higher time frame resistance, which we're about to hit now. But like if the BTCD continues pushing through that resistance, we have a little kind of consolidation mini alt season, but actually it continues going up, then actually maybe she's right. Maybe you do get a mega alt season when BTC is topping 74-75%. Okay, I can't question her logic because it does make sense. Okay, this person's comment is correct. How can we have a fully fledged alt season? BTC is at 44k. Well, you have a fully fledged alt season because that is the bottom. The bottom is in. So when the bottom is in, alts will pump. That's really the answer to that. They will pump and they will pump and they will pump. And the great thing about BTC bottoming out 44k is that Bitcoin is going to pump too. And so that's all you want. You want Bitcoin to pump, and then you want everything else to pump as Bitcoin pumps. And that's really what she's talking about. And then when Bitcoin starts to go into price discovery, then you're going to get alts go into parabolic mode. Okay, so that's how it is. I'm just answering this guy's question. I don't think her logic is not unsound, right? And so it's worth keeping an eye on what she has to say. Look what she writes. Even though 40 to 70k, so she's basically saying that Bitcoin range, we're in that range now. She's not expecting significantly higher, but she's saying that even in the range between 40 and 75k, alts can easily do a 10x. Okay, most people will be happy with a 10x, wouldn't they? So I'd be happy with a 10x. You can turn £10,000 into 100. No one's going to be unhappy about that. Okay, so let's not be greedy. Yeah, last cycle everyone was screaming 100k, but MMs do what they want to do. Our wishful thinking is not going to make us money. Best way to make money is to do what they do. I don't know what it means. Okay, but actually I found something else quite interesting. So she's actually, this is quite interesting. I like this. In my opinion, something like this, I'm looking to average in late September and again late December. This is quite interesting. So she's actually telling us her trade plan based on her convictions and her analysis. Okay, and what she's actually done is drawn a Wyckoff accumulation pattern in the current price action, right? So this is quite interesting. I like this. Obviously I talked about Crypto Tony's Wyckoff distribution. That was incorrect. That was invalidated. So I've already told you guys that the guy's a little bit of a shyster, and it was confirmed to me because he's getting people ready for some kind of Wyckoff distribution, but actually it didn't play out because it dumped. Okay, I like this. Oh god, where did it go? I kind of like this lady's idea better. Some kind of accumulation. Okay, now let me just, oh fuck, where is it going? I'm trying to paste it, it's not coming up. Paste. Oh, God, trading view is a piece of shit. Let me just refresh this. Obviously there's a problem with trading view. The image is being pasted is way too large. Okay, that's fine. How do I do this? Why is it such... Why is that a large image? I don't need all of it, actually. Just cut and paste some of it. So get rid of this corrective thing here. Keep the volume levels. Look what she's saying. Look, it's quite interesting. This is the corrective up. Then she's looking for a dump down. Oh fuck, I don't have the numbers. Shit. All right, let me just go back to her drawing. Okay. So she's looking for this corrective up. That's what we're in now. Then she's looking for a dump down to about can't tell what price. I mean 47k. And then September low. She's looking for a September low, taking us down to like 42, 43k. Pre-election rally. That if the September low, she was saying late September she's looking to buy. So she's looking to follow this. So you see, look, we're potentially, according to her, we're in the PS. This is the last bit. Then you have the SC. No, this is not right. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how she did this. But why don't you just draw it out? Yes, she hasn't drawn this out very well. Effectively, we haven't done the SC, we're in the PS. We're doing SC, and then we have this kind of pre-election rally, which gives us kind of this AR and this pivot up here. And then you go into some kind of phase B, okay, where the price just kind of consolidates. It's basically range-bound behavior in this whole area. And then she's talking about some kind of December low. That's a post American election December low, and then that's when the fun and games begin. And then she's looking for kind of levels like 47k to flip into support before we go to all-time highs. And then she's looking at a bull market peak according to her chart at 93k. All right, 93k. Right. So just bear this in mind. I don't mind this analysis at all. Yeah, it does make sense in some ways. It makes a lot of sense. And fundamentally what it is so it's a reaccumulation pattern for whales who have dumped at high numbers at 70k, 68k, 74k, whatever. Yeah. So what you're experiencing potentially, what she's suggesting, that's what I'll tell you what she's suggesting. She's suggesting that this whole range that we've experienced has been whales dumping on the market, and they probably picked up either lower or at the ETF launch at 40k. So they basically increased the value of their portfolio by 50%. They're happy with that, and they're just kind of selling into every rise. That's quite clearly presented because you're making lower highs, and so naturally there's not enough buy momentum or buy market power to take us to higher numbers because the whales are just putting crazy limit orders and just blocking the ascent. Okay, what she's looking for is, and this is the PSY, she's looking for a Wyckoff distribution here. That's going to basically take us to December, right? Why not? All the way down to 40k. Yeah, basically that's quite high actually. Basically from 47k. Basically you see this value area high. What value area high was that? Overall volume range. She's basically saying we'll lose the volume range. Yeah. That does get quite bearish. It gets really bearish when BTC loses the volume range. The value area high there. Okay. And then you have this consolidation range, this Wyckoff accumulation range here, all the way to December. With one kind of relief rally. Pre-election, September, end of September, beginning of October probably. But ultimately what's happening is you're just kind of ranging here until you finally break out and of this Wyckoff accumulation. In this context, it'd be quite easy to see, because if you're kind of ranging here, you kind of just want to flip a key level like this value area high into support. Okay. And so if her theory plays out, even with the sign of strength, you're buying lower than where we are now. So I think what I'm getting to is it's better to wait. It's better to be patient and not kind of imagine that the price is going to somehow V-shape recovery into some kind of parabolic price discovery, and just be realistic about what's happening. And that is that Bitcoin has failed to take the highs, is failing to take the highs, and we're in bearish market structure. That's the reality of what's happening. Yeah, you can't ignore that. You can't be bullish when we're in bearish market structure. It's just not possible. The price has to change market structure first, and at the moment there's no indication that it's going to do it anytime soon. So we have to be patient. It'll be a lot easier to change market structure if we take another step down, because you're putting in lower highs and lower lows, and then it becomes easier to take out the lower highs. Right now, going up to 70k is practically impossible. I think practically impossible, just because you have so many levels to get through, and I'm not seeing that kind of strength in the market. I'm not seeing the crazy buying that's going to take us to high numbers. All I'm seeing is market maker manipulation, and that's it. That's all it is. It's all it is. And I don't think they have enough firepower to take us to high numbers, because fundamentally what will happen is that the whole market will sell into that. Market makers won't have enough liquidity to do that, I don't think. Yeah, not on Bitcoin anyway. So this is something that I'm interested to see. Anyway, let me go back to what I was doing, which is potentially this four wave corrective. Okay. I mean, if we do a 1-to-1, I mean, we're ending at 14th of August. How does that line up with her idea? Can't tell. That could be that. Yeah, look, it could be there, and then it could go up, and then it could come down for September. So yeah, it is possible. Can't tell here, but you need to kind of put in this kind of SC first, a little bounce, whatever. I don't know, PS4. I don't know how this is going to play out, to be honest with you. But if you do end correctively, I don't know if it's going to go that far either. So the 618 is slightly higher, wasn't it? Trend base essentially picked on. Who knows? One of these pivots, potentially one of these fib extensions. Have to see what happens. And I think it's important to count. So I will be counting the waves, trying to count the waves. I just want to see the price turn now. That's going to give me the confidence. And so naturally, I will be looking for a massive buy, and I will be looking to sell weakness. Okay, so there's two things I'm looking to do. I haven't got a plan right now because I'm just waiting for this this correction to somehow complete. You see, look, it's still correcting. ABC is still trying to correct. So I'm not in a rush at the moment, and I'm waiting for, at the very least, I'm waiting for about 3 p.m. to see if we can hit some kind of higher target number and see if we can see a rejection. I want to see that first. Then I'll be looking to count all the way down. I'll be looking to count another set of ABCs, or another purple WXY, and then that's going to help, because if we start seeing the price fall fast and deep, then obviously you'll be looking for lower and faster, aren't you? So I can't predict that. I think symmetrically that would be correct, right? But just be aware that the price doesn't, well, just because you draw a red line downwards, it means the price is going to go down like that. The price goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and then can totally do that. Yeah. Just because you have a nice straight line going down doesn't mean the price is going to go down in a straight line. You could just be range bound here, one dip, and then it's right back up, and it's correct. Yeah, that's all that can. Just bear that in mind. This could just go sideways here, and then last dip on time, and then you're right back up, and that would be correct as well. So just bear in mind the price can do whatever the hell it wants, and it's just good to count waves because it prepares you for what's about to come. If and when this completes, I don't actually think this is the end. Again, I think it's too short, and that's kind of why I don't think it's the end. And so when I talk about shortness and time, if I look at the overall EW count that I've got, assuming that we've just completed the 5, we've had 5 waves. This was the last 5 wave, and we've had a lower low here. So there's no more waves to come after this. Then we're in a 4 correction, aren't we? Corrective 4. That lady says somewhere in December. Okay. And naturally in December, you want the price to make a significant pivot low, right? That's what needs to happen sometime in December. That's how you start the next impulsive move. She reckons all the way up to 93. Fine, whatever. It doesn't matter. Maybe she's right. Maybe she's wrong. Who knows? I can try to create targets. I'm not going to necessarily do it right now. Maybe I will. I don't know. Let me see. If it's easy, I'll do it right now. I'm not going to do this accurately. It's pointless. Why have I got that starting there? Surely it should start lower. There. What have I done wrong? Let's go. No, maybe it did start there, huh? Oh, I don't have that count, so let me just find it. Oh, I deleted it. Huh? I deleted it. So annoying. I think I've deleted it. I had this count and I don't know where it starts because I can't remember. It probably starts down here, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your 1. ABC correction here. Your 2. I don't get any decent fibs here. I don't know why. That's because I haven't got these in. 71 king. 1 to 1. I should really do it accurately. Give me a second. Let me just figure this out. I don't know why she comes up with 92k. I can't tell you why. I think it does depend on how far we come in this 4. If we're coming back to 43, then your 618 target is 111. If she wants us to get to 93, then in my mind, realistically, this corrective move has to get down to 36. Yeah, because those are the correct ratios. And so naturally, we have to see how far down this 4 can get, where the initial impulse begins. Yeah, so we have no idea. Once you have that pivot 4 in place and the impulse begins, then you can just quite easily do a trend base fib, and initially it'll be like from the 2 to the 5. Sorry, the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Wherever this lands, let's say it lands at 43 or 44, whatever. That will give you a 618 target and a 1-to-1 target. And I think most people will be aiming for the 1-to-1. Okay, doesn't have to get to the 1-to-1, but this 3 wave is bigger than the 1, so the 5 actually can be bigger. I don't think people will be looking to exit. I mean, they might at the 618, and it all depends on how low this gets in terms of where the next wave begins. So no one really knows that. The only thing that I have in my mind is this this Elliott Wave trend line. So I have that in my mind. I don't know. See, I don't know. I don't know. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, why are we losing this trend line? Have I done it right? I don't know. Was it front run, and is it actually to this pivot? Something like that. Arguably, that was front run there, but you kind of want the 4 to land and launch from this Elliott Wave impulsive trend line. There's going to be a trend line. Now, I've got the 2 starting here. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to actually be a bit steeper. By December, that will put us lower. So I don't really like that. If we're going to go lower, I kind of feel like this trend line has to hold as well. So maybe it'd be better to just have it on the wicks. Let's say we backtest the value area high. That's much higher than she reckons. So actually, I don't know. I can't tell. So technically, you take the lowest 2 wicks, which would be these 2, and that's your trend line. So actually, that would work if that was correct, down to 44k, sometime by December, something like that. Based on these lowest 2 pivots, the lowest 2, the outer edge. Even though this was kind of a little bit front run, I'm still thinking, you know, why not come to the outer edge and find support somewhere like that. And then again, like if you have this trend based fib, you come in to 44, then the 618 would take you to 80. So that would be the target. That would be your first target in price discovery. And then what you'll be doing is looking for confluence. And so as the price starts to impulse, you're going to get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And naturally you'll be looking for a trend base fib based on this first wave here, the second wave here, to see if you can find some kind of confluence, at least like 2 fib lines in price discovery that line up, and that will give you the confidence to exit at the right place or right time, as long as you're counting the waves. Marve is saying 58, 55k looks like the aim for today. I did say I did say I did say but anyway. All right, so I'm very interested to see what happens. I'm literally not in any positions today. I could have longed. I didn't really have a plan long, and also I was a bit busy, and also, you know, I took a couple of losses, and as the price dropped, I was trying to catch the knife and it didn't work. And usually when you take a couple of losses, you just stop. It's good to just stop and just reset and just regain your zen, and then reanalyze and find the next big trade, the next great trade. Yeah, so that's all I'm doing right now. I'm not desperate to jump back in. Whatever happens, even though I knew that it would be correct, even if I knew that it was going to go up, I wasn't looking to just jump in. I needed a trade. I needed a trade plan. I needed an invalidation. I needed to know where to take profit. And so I just wanted the range to form. It didn't form the kind of range that I hoped, because it would have been easy to trade that range that I was hoping for. Instead, we've just had a little bit of a bounce, and it's massively manipulated by market makers. All right. I'll be interested to see what happens at 3. You're in 5 positions. Fuck. I'd be interested to see how far we get a free. What I'd like to see is an impulsive push. Yeah. And then I'll be thinking to short that. So I'm not going to short any of this shit. This is just a shorter's nightmare. And it's good if you're longing, but you have to bid at the lows. You have to bid the lows. I always say red wicks. So if anyone is ever in doubt of where to buy, yeah, just here in the hour candle chart, yeah, every time you see a red wick at the lows, yeah, at the lows, it's not always easy to see, but you see as the red wicks start coming in, you can see what's happening. You see that actually these red wicks are good places to buy. Yeah, so you see every time you see these red wicks, see what's happening, see if the price is finding support. Those are the good places to buy. The price doesn't always come back. Price just often it just expands out. These aren't really crazy red wicks. So here as the price is coming down, so you're not looking for red wicks as the price is coming down, you're looking for red wicks as the price is bottoming out. And so here, even here, it was coming down. It was still good, huh? It was still good because the price actually just faked out and came up. And so naturally, when you're looking to buy any red wick, see this is the big red wick, isn't it? This is the big one here. If you're patient enough and you bought the red wick, you're in profit. And obviously the big one was here, and red wicks are the best. Yeah, if anyone bought this red wick, they would be underwater for a long period of time, but guess what, you can exit at break even now. So in terms of positioning and entering the market when you're buying red wicks, it's always about the red wick. All right, you're looking for red wicks, that's where you want to enter. Most of the time, if you're putting in a higher low, the price will come all the way down just like it did here. It'll put in a higher low, but it's in the wick that it does it. So really that's the best place to buy. And also the reason why it's a good place to buy is because you have a really tiny invalidation. So it's usually a good place to enter because if you catch it when it's reversing, then you're in profit quite quickly. You can take profit quite quickly. And if you get invalidated, you can have a really small invalidation because most of the time you're not looking for a lower low, you're looking for a higher low. Sometimes you get a swing failure, and then that's when you get these green wicks. That's basically their swing failures. The market buys after the price takes out the low. But you know, red wicks are the good places to buy. And then obviously when people are looking to sell, they're thinking, how do I sell? Where do I sell? What do I sell? And it's the reverse. So look at the highs of this range, and every time you see these green wicks in the highs, yeah, those are your sell place in the highs, green wicks, in the lows, red wicks. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to observe. In the highs, you sell the green wicks. In the lows, you buy the red wicks. I think if you focus on that strategy, then most of the time you're going to be in a good position. Most of the time you would have entered correct. Okay, and you'll have a small invalidation because you're catching it when the price is actually looking to reverse or finding resistance or support. So that's just a kind of a little tip people can use. If you see the price pump, don't buy. Wait for the red wick on the pullback, and you can often break that down to a lower time frame. That's what I do. It's not always easy because sometimes we FOMO, but if you can be patient, then that would be a really good strategy. And then obviously I want to see how this correction continues, so I'm just keeping an eye on this correction. I'm not what is the next great trade, the really great trade, the big one? Well, I think we're coming to a good trade now because I'm thinking this corrective, this WXX, this red X is coming to an end. It'll be hard to catch the absolute top unless we do see a little bit of a pump. That would be quite easy to short. And so naturally, the next thing to do in this context, if you're looking to short, would be to wait for weakness. Okay, and it's always better to wait for weakness or wait for the pump. Wait for the kind of the one fat finger buy, 50 million Bitcoin, whatever. I know price goes up, that's when people will take profit and sell into that. So in this context, wait for that expanding single candle, wait for it to fail, or just wait for weakness. Weakness here is very simple. Lose the point of control, right? Lose it, back test it as resistance, short that shit, I think. Then you'll be looking at a market structure change, and also in this context, maybe a rounding top. Yeah. So I think, and you wait for the reaction, you wait for the price to react off the point of control. That's kind of what you want to see. You want to see a reaction. At least then you have an invalidation, because if it reacts and then it goes up, you can exit and you'd have a very small loss, but at least you know when to exit. You know what you're not looking for. You're not looking for the point of control to be lost and then reclaimed back into support. That would be quite bullish, and then actually you could probably flip it back to long, because you'll probably be looking to go up again. All right, so just to kind of consider the options when you're looking to, if you're looking to make a plan of what you want to do, where you want to do it, and where you want to exit. But in my mind, what I'm thinking, I'm looking for either weakness here or a little bit higher into kind of, if we can get up to 60k, that'd be amazing. Marve says 85,500 right now. I think probably he's right, because look, I've moved it down. And simply my simple reason, very simple reason, is that I've just done a little bit of a volume profile here to here, and I can see that that's the value area low of this kind of range. So I don't necessarily think the price is just going to get through that level. And I've married that idea with this fib retracement, which is the 50% mark, which we haven't even tested yet. So these fibs are, generally speaking, magical. There's no reason why, look, this 382 resisted the price. This 230 didn't do shit, but actually it did. So you see it didn't resist, but it kind of did hold the support. So these fib levels are quite magical. And so when you're just approaching a fib, if you see the price go above it, don't think the fib is broken, just take profit or look to short. Yeah, because they never break. They never really break in the first instance. They usually react. Okay, these higher time frame fibs. So I am with you, Marve. I think if we can get up to 58,500, that would be a good place to take profit and or short. Now, shorting the highs above a value area is not easy, because you can get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed before the price dumps. And so naturally, the market makers want to squeeze as many people as possible. They can't. So in this context, if you do pump, then you could look for the golden pocket, the local range golden pocket up the highs for some kind of mini double top or some kind of mini reversal pattern. Or the safest one is just wait for this first wave to complete and then try and catch the pullback into some kind of golden pocket for the next big wave down, the next short wave. Okay, again, it'll be hard to catch, but you just want to short at the right place at the right time. Yeah, and that gives you the higher probability with an invalidation. In this context, it would be rejecting back, falling underneath this high volume node, point of control, and kind of rejecting from that area. So you'd have an invalidation, just in this context, it would be something like this, because you'll be looking to take it all the way back down to there. But actually, maybe all the way down lower, because now you're in a downward corrective move after you've completed the red X. And so naturally, what you want is this W to be replicated in terms of trajectory and distance. Yeah, that's how it works. ABCD. It's basically this. Basically. Now, the only caveat is this could come to the 618. It could come a bit earlier, so you get some kind of lob-shaped ABC. Not like that. It has to go lower than the W. So it's kind of, you could end up with something like that or something like that. I think going further like that makes absolutely no sense. It's going to be either the 618 here or the 1-to-1. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at now with Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. Okay, you can clearly see that the price is exhausting. You can clearly see the price is exhausting. So I wonder if we do get one last push up and then dump. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Or just wait for weakness. Weakness, lose the point of control. That's weakness. Back test it as resistance. That's weakness. And then I think then you're going to get a lot of people who are in long positions just closing at market and just waiting for the price to drop. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to see when it comes to Bitcoin. And let's just kind of let's just see what happens. All right, so potentially 50. So let me just kind of draw this out for David. We have two scenarios: sign of weakness or higher prices. We've got two kind of ideas. If I get squeezed on the first short, I will wait for weakness, or I'll wait for even higher. I'm not going to attempt a short at the same place twice. If I get punished the first time, then I'll be looking for lower or higher. Okay, because it could, for reasons that I can't explain, the price could easily continue grinding up to the 618. That would be a better short. Okay, much better short at the 618, because you're actually in this kind of point of control, and then you're at the value area low, kind of in the golden pocket. You'd have a pretty wide invalidation, but it wouldn't really matter because you're trying to catch a move that goes all the way down to 40, 41, 42, 43k. Yeah, so that's why it doesn't necessarily matter. But catching the right place at the right time is not tricky. It's not easy. I think somewhere if we can get up into 58.5 at 3 p.m, that would be amazing, and form a little rejection there. So I'm kind of thinking like that. If you want a wider invalidation, sure, you can have it. It could make sense because we are looking to go down to 44. So there is a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 4 in a wide invalidation entering at the 50% mark. Okay, so there's some ideas there, and let's see what happens. I think it's I'm quite excited to take these trades today, if possible, if I get the opportunity to enter correctly. So I just sent that to David. You probably have to start with a slightly wider invalidation, and then as the price turns, you can bring down your invalidation and you can add to your position. So what I recommend is you start off with your correct position size with your short, and then as you only add weakness, you don't add to strength. Okay, so you just want to have a fixed risk with your initial position. As you start seeing weakness, you'll start adding to the pullbacks, and then as you add, you'll reduce your risk. By every time you add, you'll reduce it to make sure your risk is always the same, and you just want to try and make sure that your invalidation is then above the current pivot high. So you wouldn't trail the invalidation close to the price because you'll probably get invalidated. You still want to make sure your invalidation is the lower high that you think has been made, and so every time you add, you can bring down your invalidation to make sure that your risk is the same. And in this kind of context, you know, if you're shorting the high and coming down, you have to take profit at the point of control. You have to, there's no choice. You lose the point of control, come back in, you can compound at the point of control, put it back in, or if you don't take profit because you're confident that this is going down for whatever reason, then as the price comes back up to the point of control, you can add to that and just bring down your invalidation so that your risk is still the same. So you're not risking more than your required risk, and that's kind of how you would how it can be done. And then there's obviously a million ways of doing it. You know, most people will be just taking profit because they're in longs, and that's probably the easiest thing. Most people won't be shorting, right? And in terms of taking profit, I would probably be looking to scale out now, even though the price could go up to 58.5. You know, I'll be looking to like skim. It's good to skim. Like when you get into these kind of high ranges, you see these green wicks. You see me a green wick. You can just take a little skim. You skim a little bit. All right, so that's kind of Bitcoin, and I'm not suggesting that this lady is right. I have no idea, but it's worth following it. It's worth seeing what these people have to say. There's another guy that I follow, Lucky Ape. I've talked about him a lot. I'm not a member of Lucky Ape. I am in his Discord, but I'm in the kind of public area. He does post on that too. This is a smart trade. I think he learned from chart champions, because his method is basically chart champions, which is where I learned too. I don't think it's a bad method. Look, he's got some really good, interesting things here. So he's put in some trade plans. Here, look, he's putting some trade plans for TIA and SUI. Hey, look, he longed the breakout retest, you know? He's in a long here. And again, it's not impulsive, yeah? So he's longing support, but you're not getting impulsive price action. It's very slowly going up. I really hate this price action, to be honest with you. It's nice if you get a really good position and it goes your way, and but it's not fun. Huh? It's always more fun when you get a nice impulsive move, because you're in profit and you see your profit going up. Anyway, so here's another one to look at. And another guy that I'm looking at now is this Michael guy. I know, actually, who is? So, Michael, is it Michael Van de Pot? Yeah, so this guy's really smart. When the market is capitulating, you want to be positioned into the coins that bounce back the fastest. RWA is doing that, through which OM and Ondo are showing a lot of strength. I think most liquidity is going to move towards real project, likely to be the RWA narrative. Yeah, he's obviously wrong because Solana bounced like a mother, but whatever. He's got his mind on RWA. I'm actually going to share that. Anyway, a lot of people are bullish. I'm not right now bullish. We're in bearish market structure. Why would he be bullish in bearish market structure? Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just gonna follow my instincts. Even though the price wants to go up, I'm not kind of fussed about that until I see a real sign of strength. In my imagination, a sign of strength here, I think obviously coming back into the range is a sign of strength. Yeah, so obviously you're getting a lot of people longing because the price is coming back into, it came back into the range after it came back above the previous pivot low. But you know, strength in this context would be just to reclaim the value area low and flip it back as support, back into, it's quite a tight value area, but still that would be strength. It would require strength to get back into the value area low. In this context, getting back into the value area low is also flipping this golden pocket into support. Like, I think that would be strong. You need a really strong Bitcoin to do that, to flip this value area low into, and this golden pocket into support. You're ending up higher, but you're buying strength then, and maybe a market structure change too. So on the local time frame, probably the 4-hour time frame, I'm looking at the market structure and I'm thinking to myself, we're still bearish. We're still in bearish market structure. Let me just hide this stuff now because it's not really helpful. There it is. There it is. For time frame, lower lows, lower highs. See that? Not sure exactly where the lower high would be here. Could it be this one here? Could be. Because you made a lower low, then a lower high. Yeah. So it could be here. So I think strength here would be to take out that high. That would be the higher high on the 4-hour time frame. And then obviously you have to put in a lower low. You got to hold this low, and then you have to, it's still quite hard, huh? It's still quite hard because you have such a wide range. And so naturally, I think it'd be a lot easier to change market structure if you can, in this context, not take out the high, just put in a lower high. And then take out the low. And in this context, then all you have to do is for the price to take out that high. That may not happen either because it's still quite a big range, okay? And so naturally, we're still putting in lower highs. There's no reason why the price can't go down and put in a lower high, go down and put in a lower high. Price can always do that. So, and then what you'll be looking for, so it actually becomes easier. So if you go down, take out the low, you can't go put in a higher high, you take out the low, you put in another low, can't put it out. And then actually now you just have to get above there. And then you can actually change market structure here. Becomes a lot easier to do that if you get that kind of price action. So just bear that in mind. I'm always on the lookout for 3 drives patterns too, because they happen a lot, and when they do, they're really nice. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, it's again very speculative. I have no idea if that's the pivot high. I'm not sure. Every single pivot high has a golden pocket. The one with the big wick is up there. It's the big wick. The lower high is this one. Anyway, for that to play out correctly, we're above the golden pocket now. That pivot's above it. We're in it at the moment in that pivot. And then slightly higher up is that pivot, which would bring the golden pocket to 58.50, which is kind of where I want. So maybe that's it up there. I like free drives, but I don't. It's all speculative. This would be the first driver. Very speculative. Basically, that's what it would look like. It's quite bullish, but it only up to the 50% mark. Yeah, pushing all the way into the 40. I don't know, but that would take us, like something like that would take us to kind of 14th of August. That would be nice to hit my target. And how would that work in terms of Elliott waves? I don't know. I'm just kind of making this up as we talk, imagining something and seeing if it comes to play. Basically like that. I have no idea. We would overshoot the 618 and doesn't really come into any level. It would just be some kind of arbitrary trend line here. So I'm not 100%. I'm not 100%. It's just basically, it's always possible. So it's good to kind of see what could happen. In terms of the corrective count, let me see a purple. That kind of sharp drop. Purple. I haven't got purple in. Something like that. Maybe not purple either. Red. We've seen that. I don't know. All right, it's just quite speculative. Yeah, I'm not necessarily thinking it's gonna happen, right? I'm just making it up. I have no idea. All right, so that's kind of Bitcoin right now. Price has found support. You see, we're still continuing this ABC idea. I have it coming to an end at about 3 p.m. It's like in an hour's time, but this would have to really push up to get to 55.5. So I think maybe even if we take a swing failure, I might be tempted to take that, but I don't know. I kind of prefer, I don't really want to take a swing failure. I want to kind of an expansive green candle that closes high. And that would be a lot. And not like this, kind of like this. Look, see, look. Like these candles here. Kind of want like this. And here, look. followed by a doji and then down. It's kind of that's what you're looking for. You don't want like this. If it grinds up and just goes up like that, that's terrible. You couldn't short any of that because it's going up slowly and it's swing failure pattern on everything. And so here you don't really want that kind of price action here. What you want to see is up. I'm not saying it's not going up, but it's always possible to not go up. And so let me have a look at the order flow as well and see if I can see any clues here on the price action here. 5-minute time frame. We're above the VWAP, only just. Let's come back into it. I'm not seeing. I saw some longing earlier on, liquidation bubble at the highs. Here I'm not seeing crazy longing. I can still see that there's bullish absorption here. I can see that. I'm not seeing bearish absorption here at the moment. I'm seeing bullish absorption here. So you see that the CVD is going lower, the lows and the price are going higher. Okay, so that kind of gives me a clue about there's still more up in this price action, right? All right, that's Bitcoin. Any questions on Bitcoin? I think I've been clear about what I think is happening, and nothing financial advice. Obviously, if there's a change, I'm going to try and update us. I could be wrong on certain aspects of my analysis. This corrective countdown, I don't care if they like, I might have got the ABCs wrong, but the reality is that this is like one move, wasn't it? So that's why I'm classing that as just one big W. I've tried to make logical sense of the move and the count, and it works. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter about all these shit waves. All that really matters is that you started here, you ended here, and now the price is going up. Yeah, so effectively it's like this. Yeah, that's all that really matters. Once we have this final pivot, guess what? Trend-based fib time, trend-based extension, it becomes quite easy. And this last leg should mirror the first leg. Should. Now, if it's more bearish, it will be steeper and more and deeper. If it's just normal, it will just go exactly on track, exactly following that same path, coming to a one-to-one, like some kind of one-to-one. Obviously, if it's more bullish, you could see the price just fail to get past the 618. Okay, so there's lots of ifs. So it's kind of like a computer programming language. You have to put in all those if statements, and then hopefully the logic makes sense. The logic works, right? Let me just go and have a look at Bitcoin dominance, because I think that's quite important, especially after reading what that lady said. Look, we're coming into resistance. We had a little reaction 2 days ago, and now we're just going right back up. So naturally, it looks like we're going higher. The lady said 60%. That's basically correct. That's going to take us to the top edge of our golden pocket above this higher time frame trend line. Just bear in mind, this higher time frame trend line is a higher time frame trend line. Yeah, it's like a monthly pivot trend line. So you can't judge it based on local price action on the 5-minute time frame or on the 2-hour time frame, whatever. You got to be looking at these trend lines on the higher time frames, monthly, weekly at least. Yeah, to see if they're being respected or not. You can't really trade them. It just gives you an idea of where Bitcoin dominance is going to find resistance. We're coming into resistance now. Obviously, it's a little bit too early. The reason why it's a little bit too early is because we're having a little breakout too. Little breakout back test. Little breakout, little back test. And that's actually quite bullish because we're holding the previous pivot high. So maybe this is actually going to try and go higher. I think if it gets to about 59.5%, I think that's a really good place. I already said that in the past, didn't I? I said 60% is a pretty good place to rotate into altcoins. The altcoin season that we're about to experience is going to be the first one, and it won't be the strongest one. Okay, the big one is going to be when Bitcoin is crazy into price discovery, and then potentially we have a little bit of a retail euphoric moment as well. And that's really what we want for future parabola. In this kind of alt season, when Bitcoin dominance does get to 60%, hopefully 60%, I think then be prepared to rotate into alts. I don't know where Bitcoin is going to be in that moment. Is Bitcoin going to be high or low? I suspect it's going to be low. Okay. And so this alt season could follow another capitulation event. But then you'll be looking for alts to really pump. Yeah, really pump. And then Bitcoin is just going to be kind of sitting on support. You get a bit of rotation of capital. The reason why that's good is because Bitcoin will have dumped, as will have the altcoins, and now Bitcoin has finally landed into real liquidity, real kind of support. Okay, in the context of all of the charts that we're looking at, the nearest support is here. Okay, but let me just make you aware of something. Yeah, we've cleaned out the liquidity from all this area. See how the wick has gone all the way down to 48k. We've literally cleaned out all of the liquidity from this range here in that one single drop. There's going to be liquidity in this wick as is, because obviously people are going to start placing orders on the wick, probably about 50% all the way down to the bottom. That's usually what happens, but that's it. All of this liquidity in this up move is gone. There's a little bit left here, this kind of this red wick here at the bottom of the red wick. Okay, so a tiny bit left. But for all intents and purposes, you could argue that most of the liquidity is gone. So the only liquidity remaining now, you've got a brand new daily level on the chart. So let me just mark that down so you guys can see. Get rid of all these brush strokes now. Got a brand new daily level. And that is obviously going to offer some support too. You can't just ignore them. So naturally, when people are looking to buy, they will place orders at those levels, at these daily levels. That weekly level is obviously being washed. Yeah, I'll leave it on, but it's obviously washed. These two daily levels being washed. So all of the liquidity from these two levels have gone, and then you're into volume ranges. You've got this kind of wash yearly and this value area high. Not much support until we get to about potentially about 41. The other kind of support that we'll probably be looking at is fib extensions and fib one-to-one fib based trend based fib extensions. Other than that, probably the next kind of area of liquidity is going to be all the way down here to 41k. But this is it, isn't it? Look, the price here ranged for multiple weeks. That's where the liquidity is. That's where the price could come down to settle. Yeah, that will be a back test of the Bitcoin ETF launch. Yeah, and if you do end up coming down here, you might see a kind of like a mini 2 or 3 month accumulation range before we can kind of spring out and probably it will go up quite quickly because there isn't really much resistance here. You can see the black spaces, there's a lot of gaps, and once you hit price discovery, retail will start joining in. They'll be like really bullish, and then we have to kind of track this move, the waves, count the waves, try and exit on the third impulsive wave. Yeah, the big one, the middle one. So the third wave of wave 5 is really the end of that wave 5. You'll be counting your 5 waves, and that will probably be most people's exit. I don't think people will be hanging on to the last final wave with significant portion of their value, especially when you're already hitting higher numbers. You might leave a little runner to see if that wave 5 is bigger or not. And then obviously we have to count, because we have to see how expansive these waves are, whether wave 3 is biggest or smallest, etc. There's quite a lot of technical input that's required to try and track this, but because it's the last one, you'll be expecting to take profit in that wave. Now that could end, but look, this could end by whatever. It could end by March, April. Everyone is expecting the Bitcoin bull run to continue through to the end of 25. Okay, But how does the Bitcoin bull run continue 2025 when you've completed 5 waves? It doesn't. It's ended, basically. That's it. Then you're in a bear market, or, and this is the only or caveat that I'm going to present, you had your first 5 waves, whatever, and this whole move is wave 1, and then you're looking for a higher time frame zigzag correction to put in a higher low somewhere down here, and actually that's when your next real big wave continues. And so naturally in the next bear market, if we and usually, I don't know if it happens often, if we don't take out this low, if we just hold a higher low, it has happened here, look, higher low, then actually the next move could be quite explosive. If you end up taking out this low, I mean, that could be quite explosive too, but it's a completely new move. Whereas if you hold a higher low, then this could just be your first wave of another 5 waves. Like this actual last wave is fucking huge, and we've just completed wave 1. That would require 15k to not be taken out in the next bear market, and then this whole thing becomes your wave 1, and you could be looking at a gigantic super wave 3, because you've just completed a wave 1, you've done a bear market, and you've held a higher low to start your super wave 3. So there's a lot of things that could happen, and we just have to see what happens next. Obviously, if the price wants to go over correct and go down below 15,000, then we're looking at something slightly different. All right, so that's kind of Bitcoin. Let me just have a look at the local price action to commentate. Back above the high volume node, we're still ABC correcting. You hold here, we'll probably make another attempt. And obviously I'd like to see a little bit of a last minute impulse right up to 58.5, where I'll be looking to short. If I can see that, that'd be good. Marve is chatting a lot. Marve, I haven't really paid attention to you, apologize. BTC pushing up, you're in 5 positions as well. Jasmine did well, everything did well apart from TRVL. Yeah, BTC drained the altcoins to get a strong run. A lot of people have lost a lot of money, so they probably also adding to their positions. I'm red in the monthly, about $100, but still bringing you only 1,000 from bottom. All right, that's Bitcoin. Any questions apart from the ones that you've already shared?